Hello, hello, Train My Traffic people. Molly and John here. It's Tuesday, April 14th. As always, I'm excited to be spending time with you guys to go through your questions, look at any assets that you guys have submitted. Thank you for that. And thank you for the conversation in the Facebook group and how active you guys are. It's making things really fun, and it's fun to see you guys implement and move forward. So before we get into it, I just have a few announcements. So last week, the sessions were about retargeting. So there was a session with me more about general retargeting, and then with Ezra about dynamic product ads. This Thursday is another recorded session. So moving forward, we won't meet live on Thursdays, the last half of the course. It's how we do it. This week is actually with John, which is a crowd favorite, and making sure that your data and analytics are good to go, and that you're tracking and that you're thinking about data in the right way, especially when it comes to paid traffic, and that you're able to work your numbers out backwards and things like that. So I think a lot of your questions will be answered when it comes to data and analytics this Thursday. So that's really exciting. This will be session 10 of TMTP. Of course, we have 16 total sessions, and then we've decided to also add a few weeks on to the end where there probably won't be much bonus content unless something comes up, but we want to do a few more Q&A calls and give you guys access to the group for a little longer. Just with everything going on, I think it's nice to just give you guys some extra access. And then, of course, after that, you'll have a free month of team traffic too. So you still have a few months left with us, and us with you guys, which is even more important. So I'm really excited about that. Also coming out, I told you guys about this at the beginning of class in February, but a few months ago, Ezra, Laura Palladino, and a few members of Boom's marketing team actually shot a new product. And it's all about creating an ambassador program so that you can get great user generated content. So a lot of the copy and creative that you guys see Boom using that features real women, this is such a great way. Brands of any size, any business type, at any stage of growth can use this information to really make sure that you have great user generated content for your ads and your emails and your marketing in general. It's a huge game changer. So they took the time to sit down and flesh that out. I think there's 10 or 15 videos, and we're going to be selling that for $397. I think John and I decided in the next few weeks to the Smart Marketer list, but we're going to give that to you guys for free, just because it relates so closely to TMTP, and we appreciate you guys. So, John, I don't know if you know exactly when that members area is going to be completed. I know it's in the next few weeks, but we'll make sure that we give you guys access to that as soon as possible. We'll send you an email, and we'll also post in the Facebook group. So just so you guys know, that's coming. That's exciting. And I know a lot of you all have had questions. I know I've tagged Laura, who runs email and social for Boom. She also teaches smart email marketing and a part of Smart Social, which are other Smart Marketer products. I know I've tagged her a few times in the TMTP group when you guys were asking for the emails that we use to get the testimonial videos and how we compensate them, and do we use contracts, and all those questions are answered in this, which I'm really pumped about. And then just two little updates from the Smart Marketer side. One is bad news and one is good news. Just to do a little bit of sharing, I think this is a good time for that. A little bit of bad news is that the Smart Marketer ad account, Facebook ad account, actually got shut down this week. And I'm going to shoot a video for you guys that kind of goes into why it got shut down and the steps that we're taking to get it reopened, because as a media buyer, this is something that almost all of us are going to experience. Unfortunately, this was Ezra's first account shutdown, and he was the one that launched the ads that sort of triggered this. So he was pretty concerned at first. Of course, we all were, but it's getting worked out. So as always, the first step is to panic. No, not to panic, and to just move forward and try to get things fixed. So that's what we're doing right now. It doesn't change anything with TMTP, but I know a lot of you guys have gone through this in the past, and I just wanted to share And on a positive and exciting note, we are planning on launching a new podcast at Smart Marketer here in the next few months. I would definitely expect it to see it before summer. And if you guys like TMTP and the content that we're sharing here, we're going to be sharing a bunch of stuff for free on that podcast, John, Ezra, and myself. And I think we're actually going to try to put 2 episodes out a week, one that's more focused on business, case studies, what's working day to day, updates, like anything tactical marketing and business wise that we want to cover. And then another episode that's more focused on life. So things like communication and handling finances and relationships. And, even though marketing is important, we also have to be whole humans. And the better we are, when it comes to that balance and taking care of ourselves, the better that we show up as media buyers and business owners. So I just wanted to tell you guys that that's coming, and we're still in the formation stage there. The ideation stage, I think, is the best word for it. So if you guys have any thoughts, I mean, you're some of our best customers. You are on a Q&A call, almost 10 weeks into a class with us. So you probably really love this stuff. And if there's anything that, a lot of you guys listen to marketing podcasts, if there's anything you think we should cover or any way you think we could differentiate ourselves, that would be really helpful feedback. So John, I'm ready to hop in if you are. And thank you guys again for being here.
Yeah. So if you guys have suggestions, drop them into the question box and I will grab them and, get them sorted and passed on to Molly and Ezra and myself for our planning. And I can tell Molly is extremely excited about this podcast. I don't know if you guys noticed, she was talking a little bit faster than usual. She's been slacking me all day long, fun ideas about this stuff. So I love that enthusiasm. I'm super pumped about it, and I cannot wait to start putting that out there.
Yeah,
But with
going
that
down a
said,
rabbit hole, you guys know how it is. Like when I get excited about a project, it's most likely going to work out. So that's a good indication, and you guys should always follow those feelings. So I know we've got questions pulled up. Joe pulled a list. Thank you, Joe. So we will get through, as always, as many as we can here on the call. And then I've got a few hours blocked off tomorrow to catch up on anything overflow. So pretty much same as usual this week.
so I'll give you a little context for this one and then we can dive in. But one thing I wanted to throw out there is someone was saying, I think last week they're like, oh, I was kind of bummed that my question didn't get answered. And I felt like I wish I hadn't been on the Q&A call, which, I do understand everybody's busy. My suggestion is come to this call with a plan to learn from other people's questions and copy and avatars and all that, right? This is an opportunity for you to get more immersive learning by seeing all of these principles and ideas actually acted out in businesses, right? Which is, I
Yeah.
think, the most valuable part of this course. But if you're
Yeah. I
waiting
mean,
for the laser targeted answer for your thing, it's probably easier to just listen
watch
to
the
the
recording.
recording once it's out, or wait
Yeah.
for it to get answered in the overflow.
Yeah, if you just want your answer, then definitely go and find that. But if you have the time, I mean, other than firsthand experience, this is really, I mean, the second most significant form of content consumption that's made the biggest difference I know in my career is just being on Q&A calls and looking into different businesses and experiences. I mean, all of it is a data point that's going to help further inform your decisions moving forward. So yeah, if you just want to hear your question answered, no problem. But I see a ton of value in consuming all of this content if you can. And keep in mind, you'll have access to this members area for at least a few years. So you have time if you can't watch them all now.
Totally, yeah. And I don't want to say that at all to devalue this time, Ollie. Again, I think it's super valuable, but I just wanted to make sure that I think it was Taban had mentioned that just, if you need just that laser quick, 10 seconds of what is the answer to this question, just come back to it later. But for the rest of us that want to get a little bit more immersive, really stop and reflect on, what we're saying and looking at with other people's businesses, because you're going to have similar questions someday or new avatars you're trying to target or whatever. All of this stuff goes into that, you know, brain bank that eventually becomes your intuition and gut with marketing. So
Mm,
all of this
well
is
said.
truly an investment. And then for context, this is from, I need to stop clapping, too close to my microphone. All of this is from Bebe. So
Awesome.
she forgot to include this last week, but it looks like it's some thoughts on
That can't be.
Avatar and some targeting ideas.
Okay, awesome. So the avatar is Mommy Mo. She's a mom, loves her kids, loves to travel and share experiences, hiking, running, nature, eats healthy, cooks healthy, likes to bake, prefers organic food, has solar panels in her house because she likes solutions that saves money, making smart choices, recycles. So there's a lot to this avatar, which is good. Like it sounds like you really understand this person, and the theme throughout this seems to be natural remedies and just eco-conscious. So if I had to sum up this avatar, it's good to go in this detail, but it's also good to just, you know, I assume that that's really the most important part of the theme here of this avatar. So she loves to travel, eat healthy, mindful of the environment, nutritious foods, okay, cool. This makes sense. All right, so it looks like you have some interest down here. And I think, first off, I do think that this avatar needs to be narrowed down a little bit because when I read this, what I was pulling out was that eco-friendly avatar. But then when I read the statements in blue, it felt like it was kind of across the board. And it's okay to like assume this level of detail, but I do want you to know like, what is, if I were to target like an audience of these people, what is something that they all have in common? Like to consume your product or to get value from your product, for your product or service to provide a transformation in this person's life, what does that person, what do all those people have in common? Because I mean, there's a lot of specificity here that I'm not sure is true for everyone, which happens, but I just don't want you to be too broad, I guess is what I'm saying, and kind of have one theme if you can, like eco-friendly mom. That's an entire rabbit hole you can go down, because what this leaves you is like this list of interests. Most of these are just too broad. So if we were going after the eco-friendly audience, like that's easy to target. You can find lots of interests around environmentally friendly, zero waste, different products that are environmentally friendly, different organic food brands, different doctors and thought leaders in like that space. That's a market that I've gone after a few times, and that we've had a few students. It's very easy to target, and that's a direction that you could go, and then layer moms over that, and that would give you some specificity. Where right now with things like Cracker Barrel, QVC, Keurig, like these are just so broad, and they could be targeting anybody. So I would need to know a little bit more about what you're doing to tell you which direction I would go in. But I do think if you're going the more environmentally friendly organic route, things on this page like Honest Company or Whole Foods or Clean Food Crush, these are definitely a bit more. Mommy Needs a Break would obviously allow you to target moms. Natural Mamas is good. Pier 1 is too broad. Bad Parenting Moments would be good. The Honest Company's good. Babies R Us is okay. Crazy Coupon Lady probably doesn't work. Chic Soul probably doesn't work. Shutterfly, way too broad. So just use that, but no one else filter would if you can. But I think you first need to understand your avatar a little bit more, or just kind of pick one direction to go with it. Like maybe it's the eco-friendly that would allow you the specificity and the interest that you're going to need versus a lot of the broad ones that you have mixed in here. So John, we can keep scrolling. Okay, yeah, same thing with these. Okay, and then we've got Eco Evan, likes hiking, camping, adventure guy, granola, eco cautious. Okay, this is great. This is a lot more specific, and you can already see that your interests are way more on track. So Hydro Flask is great, Patagonia, Yeti. Yeah, I would target all of these. Running might be a little bit too broad. Um, Granola might be a little bit too broad, but maybe not. Porcupine Mountains Wilderness, that's perfect. Trail Maps, Stanley, yeah, these are way more on board. And I know that there are a lot of national parks that you can target. I've definitely done that. I know that there are a lot of like snowboarding and skiing brands that you can target. So think about like any activities like that in the mountains would definitely allow you to reach this avatar. So this one is way more on track here. And let's keep scrolling down. Ricky, this is a eco Evan, but more rough. He works with his hands, handyman, hunting, fishing. Okay, yeah, I understand this person. You'll probably target him with eco Evan. Yeah, I think this one would be different. This is more, yeah, Stanley. All of these, I don't think Boar's Head would necessarily be it, but I know why you went in that direction. um, yeah, this looks good. Probably not LL Bean, but Bass Pro Shop, like going after your outdoorsman that's not your like mountain guy, but more of your like maybe farmer or mechanic or someone that really likes to work with their hands. So I think you've got this one down too. We can keep scrolling, John.
Cool. And Sadie, who I think is working on this too, said that this would be a trail running avatar. I think the Rudge one. So,
Okay,
you
cool.
know, I think that's covered in that though.
Yeah, vegan Vera, yoga lover bar, Pilates loves nature. Okay, that makes sense. Um, I think IKEA is too broad, Sephora is too broad, Fabletics is too broad, Shoe Dazzle. So most of these, like I would go really deep into the vegan interests, which I showed options for that in the targeting module when I was targeting the keto for the keto client that I have. There are lots of interests in there that would work for you. Also, just things like forks over knives, like there are lots of vegan interests. Same thing with yoga. I think I showed you guys like hundreds of those in the targeting module. It was a Google Doc targeting yogis. So I would use more of those than honestly any of the ones you have here, I think are too broad for that avatar. And then let's look at ad copy. All right. So mommy avatar. Looks like we're staying home for a little longer. So I think it's good to address the current situation, but I would add a little bit more context into this so it doesn't just look like another post about the virus, which I think people are becoming desensitized to. So, I don't know about I don't I don't know about you, but me, I have been cooking nonstop with kids at home. So I feel like you just want to make sure that someone definitely edits these for grammar and you want to make sure that you aren't just uploading a big chunk of text. You want to make sure that this is easy to skim and that you're breaking this into multiple paragraphs. I rarely have a paragraph in ad copy that's longer than 2 sentences, 3 sentences usually at the max, because especially on mobile, it's just too hard to digest. So definitely consider that. So you're talking about cooking nonstop with kids at home. They're always hungry. This week you started planning better and making bigger portion sizes so you can freeze some of the food. You've been using these containers to freeze and store all the bread and baking, and it stays fresh. There's something about stainless steel and keeping your baked goods fresh. It is also totally kid proof. And plus it's way better and safe than plastic. So I love how you're making this product relevant to the avatar. I do think the copy needs work just from like a writing standpoint, like just a copy standpoint, not even from a sales standpoint, just overall, structure wise, and just making sure that this flows well. But I think the hook here, which is what matters the most, is great. And instead of saying things like looks like we're staying home for a while longer, something that feels more like a story and that's more native, and maybe it's you telling your story, like you're counting down the days of how long you've been at home with your kids, and the biggest responsibility that's increased in your life has been cooking, and opening up in that way versus looks like we're staying home for a while longer. It's really speaking to moms. It's automatically inserting that hook, that's really going to catch them, and then they relate with you and they want to read a little bit more. So good hook, but the copy needs a good amount of work. And with this next one, I wouldn't do a bunch of open questions like this. Facebook really doesn't love that from a policy standpoint. And same thing here with the like, so are you stuck at home? Who knew? Like, we want to just call out moms a little bit more and not make this such a like, did you organize your closets? What about your cupboard? Like, this doesn't read like a post that you would see from a friend. So, this is more about organizing. So maybe you could talk about how right now is a good time to get organized and then move a little bit more into this hook. Really the same feedback as I had for the top one, like very good hook. There's a great reason here for the avatar to take action, but the writing needs work. Um, And then this last one looks like a testimonial. So I wouldn't open the testimonial with "this is the third set I've purchased" because it feels like you're being sold to. I also wouldn't open in the first few sentences with the name of the product because for the same reason. So I would, let's see where you could cut in. Okay. So in my house, we take lunch and leftovers to work and school, so it started as a lightweight, unbreakable solution for me and my kids' lunchboxes. We love that there is snap-on lids, so it's leak-proof and airtight. So, I mean, this is like a really bottom of the funnel testimonial that's speaking directly about the product, which isn't bad. I think it could be used to cold traffic, especially if you pull out pieces of it and kind of piece it into a story. Like, for example, if someone saw at the in the beginning of the copy, if you saw in your news feed, "In my house, we take lunch and leftovers to work and school," and you immediately resonated with that because you're a mom and that's what happens in your home. This is going to be a testimonial that you're a lot more interested in because it doesn't feel like a testimonial, it feels like a story. So this is more of a bottom of the funnel testimonial. I think it could be pieces of it could be used more top of funnel, but I want you see if you can work with it so that it's not formatted in a way that just feels like you're directly selling, which is not by making the first sentence, "this is the third set I purchased," and calling out the name. So definitely good work on this. And I can tell your avatars and your you know the avatars, you know your product, you know why there's a connection there. I just think there are a few of the targeting groups and avatars that need a little bit more specificity. And then with the copy, all of these hooks are good, but I do think the ad copy needs a little bit more work. So let us know when you make revisions. Happy to check those out. And thank you so much for submitting that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, baby. Next one is from
All
Edwin.
right. So Edwin has a link to a Google Doc. So been plugging away today and you're ready to get comments on your ad captions. Let me know which two you like the most and what I can change. I made 7 captions for one avatar. And it might be below here, John. You might not even need to open it. We can check both. But he said, "Thanks so much. Really appreciate all your help and how fast you guys have been getting back to me." No problem. That is why we are here. So do you just want me to read from this post, John?
Yeah, I think I can double check, but I figure we can go through the post. I'm sure that's got all the same stuff. Oh no, so this has the captions while the post has the avatars.
Okay, I think this is a good one to add to the overflow just because there's a
Okay.
lot to
It's
consume
pretty in
here.
depth,
So I'll
so
shoot a video on that one.
okay, sounds good. I'll move that over here to make a note for myself. Cool. All right. Well, then we
So
have this one
organized.
from Susie.
All right.
Moving tabs around. I don't know how organized that feels. Perfect. Here we go.
Yeah, this looks much better, Susie. Anxiety is real during this time. I seem to have taken mine out on my cuticles. They're awful, but healing quickly thanks to my ever-present pick fix. Your new go-to emergency skin fix if you're picking from stress, dried out weather. Yeah, the creative's much better too. So give this a shot, and it's cool to see how many iterations you've gone through on this one.
I love how native that circles around the
It
sort of
was.
places where the fingers were
I know.
bitten through and the ouches. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the biggest optimization she's made in the last few rounds, in my opinion. And that's the strongest part of this, especially with, I think, a lot of women that, go and get their nails done regularly. Like they're especially experiencing this, and even, people that don't from biting nails and being anxious right now. So keep us up to date on this, Susie. Thank you for showing us the update. That's definitely the direction that I was talking about.
Cool. All right. Next one is, oh, another one from Susie. Let's see.
Okay, I think that I answered this one, John.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay, so I said, "Hey, much better," and then keep scrolling down. Um,
Oh, here we
okay.
go. This is the new
So I
question.
started this campaign on the 28th with one ad set and one ad. On the 3rd and 4th, I added 3 more ads and 5 ad sets. Yesterday, I added the ad we've been talking about here to all the ad sets, and all my ad sets still say they are in learning. Is that because I've only had 28 add to carts? So there's a few reasons for that. When it says learning phase, it's nothing to be nervous of or scared of, especially if you're getting the results that you want in terms of your success metric. It's just telling you that there's not enough data, that they could use more budget or more time to optimize further. So you've had 28 add to carts. So which is what my conversion is set to, doesn't need more than that to come out of learning. So don't worry as much about coming out of learning, guys. A lot of you guys get caught up in this. Don't your goal is not just to get this thing out of learning. Your goal is to get the campaign to work in terms of your success metric, whether that's return on ad spend or CPA, whatever you're going after. So that's just a secondary indicator. Is there a particular screenshot? So no, I would just continue to let it run. So you're saying you're optimizing for add to carts. Is there a reason that you're not optimizing for conversions? Because optimizing for add to cart can work, especially bottom of the funnel. We talked about that last week when there is a lower volume of data, lower budget, smaller audience sizes. But especially to cold traffic, it's not something we recommend. Also, especially with cold traffic campaigns, as I've discussed a lot, I definitely don't recommend, especially in the first week, going in and making changes and adding new ad sets and adding new ads, because when you do that, it does reset that optimization and sort of testing process. So that could be something that affected this too. But Susie, let us know, like, does this have any conversions? Is that what you're looking for? Have you thought of optimizing for conversions? If you're not getting the results you want, a simple change you could make is duplicate the campaign you're using now, switch to optimizing for purchases, and I think that will help. I also think that that'll just give you a fresh new start with all of the ads that you want to use launching at the same time versus adding random stuff at different periods. So, yeah, that's my best advice to you right now, and keep us in the loop.
Awesome. And I just wanted to throw out, because I had missed it before, Teresa said if Bebe is interested, you can tag her to talk about vegan stuff, because I know she does a lot with that. So that's Teresa Tui, who's here in the Facebook members group. So
Nice. That's such a
um,
good offer. Thank you so much for offering that.
cool. All right. Next one is from Cole.
All right, we need help. Okay, we have Facebook ads sending traffic to a sign up page where we collect contact details and they're signed up for an event, which is the purpose of our ad. They're then redirected to our website to give them an opportunity to shop around. Currently, we are optimizing for purchase, but feel as though Facebook does not get enough data to optimize, as we only had a few purchases over the past couple of days. We've had a few hundred people sign up. I'm wondering if these ads would be more successful if we optimize for contact. Yeah, you've got to look at this as two campaigns. So the first is the campaign that generates the leads, and that should optimize for leads or a custom conversion that's on that thank you page, however you want to set it up. And then there should be one or more campaigns per last week's training that's built for retargeting and to move those people from a lead to finding the product or service that would be best for them. So that's definitely the best way to set it up. But I would mostly think of this from a strategy level. Number one, is the event something that your audience actually wants? Do you think that's a good lead gen offer? And do you think it's a good way to get people in the door and to seamlessly transition them to purchase one of your products or services? Because usually it's not enough to just say, you signed up for this, go shop my store and pick something to buy. Like, that's not a very direct call to action that's going to get someone to go do something now. When you have someone in the middle of a funnel like that, you want to tell them the one next step that you want them to take because it relates to the last action that they just took. So really think about it in that way. Like, is there one product that you can make a call to action for on the thank you page? Is there even just a discount that you could give that would expire? Like, is there a specific call to action you can make that will make this a bit more direct response? So yeah, thanks for submitting that, Cole, and hopefully that's helpful.
Perfect. All righty. Oh, it looks like I opened this one twice. All right. And I actually don't know if Ludovine is in the Facebook
It
group
looks like
anymore. I
her
was
Facebook,
checking.
it looks like her um, Facebook account is deactivated.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So, um, I mean, I guess we don't need to answer this one if she's not going to be able to see it. So, or maybe
Yeah, if
actually,
she
it's probably
comes,
more important to answer here in the video if she's because I know she's still a member,
oh yeah,
so
yeah.
she won't be able to jump in here and look. So,
John, do you want to answer this one since it's a bit more down your alley? And then I
yeah.
know Angela asked what platform she's comparing her Facebook dashboard to. So I think there are some lessons around that. Like I had a conversation yesterday with someone who was like, oh my God, I realized that I have half of the sales coming in than were being reported in Facebook, and I'm freaking out. And that wasn't the case. The issue was that attribution in Facebook was set up as first click, and the attribution in Shopify, which I know you'll talk about this on Thursday, was set to last click. So it was like comparing apples to oranges. Like he was just looking at two completely different sets of numbers. Like he was looking at the data in two different ways, and that's why he was getting those different numbers. So anyways, Sean, I don't know if there's anything I'm stealing your thunder, but this is on my mind.
Yeah, no, no worries. I have, of course, lots of things to say about this particular topic. I'll try to keep it short, but there's something that I'm not going to really get into on our call this Thursday, but I probably will do a follow-up module about it as we get more information. But there's, of course, a lot of different ways to assign credit, right? The idea of first touch and last touch, like Molly just talked on. So if somebody clicks a Facebook ad and buys in a month, do you give credit to that Facebook ad? If they click a Facebook ad and buy within the next hour, it's kind of obvious, like, okay, the Facebook ad certainly played a big role in that. But you need to have a plan and a decision about how you want to assign credit that's consistent all the way through. And you can look at it both ways, right? You can both look at first touch and look at last touch. You just want to make sure you're not comparing those apples and oranges. That said, this may tie more to kind of a new thing that we're discovering. So most people who use their mobile phones to buy stuff are using iPhones, right? Which all have Safari as the default browser. And Safari now drops Facebook cookies after 24 hours. So if you're trying to get perfect attribution, it was never really possible before, but now it's even harder than it used to be. My wife is working on a big project for this for some, $100 million a year businesses, and discovered that 35% of the ad attribution that they had in 2018 has just disappeared. So if you were running ads in 2018 versus running ads in 2020, you're driving the same amount of sales potentially, but you're only seeing 2/3 of them represented this year because
Wow.
the mobile people are all having their data wiped, because Apple is basically making this big play on privacy where they're saying, like, we're respecting your rights as a consumer.
Yeah, because
And
they don't have a
yeah,
platform really where they're selling ads.
exactly. So they get to have this sort of high and mighty, like, oh, look at us, we're so good. When of course they do maybe some questionable things in other ways. But all that saying, it is kind of tricky. If you're only running Facebook campaigns, obviously that's going to be one of the biggest drivers of sales for your business. So you can go ahead and sort of do that mental assigning. But I'm trying to think, like, actionably, what I would do is get comfortable with making best guesses or best assumptions. So if you turn on a brand new Facebook ad campaign, it's the only thing you change, and you see 100 new sales come in and only 50 are credited to Facebook, probably the other 50 of those unexpected sales can somehow be tied back to Facebook. We call that the halo effect. And it is something you can try to dig into and divine and understand as you look at data both in Facebook Analytics and Google Analytics. But at the end of the day, to some degree, you kind of say, like, okay, well, we spent, an extra $10,000 on ads. So some of these sales that came from different sources other than email, I'm going to give credit to Facebook. And then getting used to going in and tracking how people behave once you have their email address is the other thing I do. And this one works better, I will say, for info businesses than e-commerce. But if I can tie somebody opting into a Facebook ad, then as they spend more time with my business and buy other products, I can go back and really trace that, not manually, or rather not automatically in Facebook advertising, but manually looking at Klaviyo data and Shopify data and all that together. So getting perfect data where you have 100% attribution, no platform can really do that anymore. Google Analytics is what I like to use because I think it's the most true to life for last touch, which is really good when you're sort of trying to spend more carefully. But with, Safari changing all the stuff, it's not working as well as it used to. Facebook, I tend to think, sometimes gives itself a little too much credit. But, as I was saying, with the changes to Safari, Facebook is kind of losing some of the data in there. So I think their thing is getting more and more true to life as we move forward. But, I think just if we step back from sort of the nuances of, do you want to look at the first touch or last touch? Do you want to look at Facebook or Google Analytics? Having a consistent way that you check stuff and a few key metrics like cost per acquisition or cost per lead or ROI or return on ad spend that you're looking at regularly and tracking changes there, that helps you make actionable decisions. You're not going to be able to get everything to sync up perfectly. You're not going to be able to look at 50,000 metrics every day for your Facebook ad campaign. You want to choose key high impact numbers, and I'll talk about what I recommend on our training this Thursday. And you want to look at those consistently over time for your campaigns to understand trends. So getting away from this sort of overwhelm to simplicity, right? You find high points of leverage and use that to make decisions. That, at the end of the day, is the only thing you can do moving forward, because technology and pixels and all of that stuff will change every year for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. Well, and John, I love that you are committed to the data and we make sure that things are as accurate as possible. But we also, as long as everything is within a reasonable range for us and we know that we're looking at apples to apples and not like completely two different sort of views on a similar set of data, or even two just completely different sets of data, which is where people get really confused. It's like I would rather spend that time creating new marketing assets and everything else that we've talked about in the class. Not that the analytics side of things isn't fun. So yeah, I think that's good to keep it in perspective. And this is always going to be an issue, especially as online consumerism becomes more popular, and as there are just so many more entry points that are introduced every day in terms of how someone might actually end up buying your product or service. I mean, it's crazy to see, like, you're running Facebook ads, and for a lot of you guys that are on Amazon, you can't really track it, but almost all of you see a tick in Amazon sales when you start to scale your Facebook ads. And, I know for us, every time we start to scale our Facebook, YouTube, Google, we start to see an increase in organic SEO. We see an increase of people that are posting on our Facebook wall, sending customer support messages. And like that is the halo effect that we talk about, because right now, what's so fascinating is that because marketing has progressed so quickly, because of consumer behavior and because of technology, it is very cool that we are able to do the level of tracking and analytics that we do. Before the internet, it was, it was very hard to track what the return on ad spend was of the billboard or the magazine ad that you placed. I mean, that was almost impossible to do. So the fact that we even have this level of tracking is really impressive. But we also can't get lost in it. And we also have to realize that there are things at play and benefits that are occurring via advertising. And especially if you have clients, this is so good to constantly reiterate and just for you to keep in mind. I know you hear a lot about return on ad spend, CPA, like we are direct response marketers, and that is kind of what this industry was founded on. But there are so many benefits that you just simply can't measure. And yeah, I'm going down a rabbit hole here, John, but I think this is a great topic and just a good lesson for today's call.
Yeah,
So,
And oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, John.
I just was going to say, I really think once we talk on Thursday, or once you watch the training I did on Thursday, it'll be better because it's so easy to get caught up in all of the craziness of it. And my philosophy has always been trying to pare down and remember that certain campaigns have certain jobs. So a campaign that's sending people content, that you shouldn't be measuring conversions there, or you'll always be unhappy with performance. A campaign that's job is to get people to make a purchase, well, you probably shouldn't be looking at the cost per video view there, because having the cheapest video view that never ever drives people to buy, that's not that helpful. So you want to just really remember kind of the idea of the traffic system and hone in on a few key metrics. And I think, hope, believe, have found in my own experience that that is the best way to go about it, while also, like Molly said, keeping the big picture in mind. So, we can go deep there, man. My head is buzzing right now. I've just been hearing Catherine talk a ton about this project. She's actually giving a presentation in the other room right now about how they're going to try to fix this for some of the 9-figure companies that her company works with. But
Dang. Well,
I'll add
listen,
some updates
no,
here at some point on that.
no
So
pressure, Catherine. Good luck,
yeah,
dear.
really.
Okay, Arsh says, is it best to use the same imagery and retargeting ads as your prospecting ads or switch them? So definitely not. You want to switch them. There's a side of me that says try to make it unique and relevant. So absolutely. So it's good to keep similar branding. And what I mean by branding is like a color scheme or a certain design. Like, in the creative phase, I showed creatives that looked like cartoons, where I showed some that were, iPhone videos. So I do think if you can keep the same type of branding so that they maybe look familiar, like something that they've possibly seen before, but new enough to catch their attention, that's the path that I like to go down. But when in doubt, definitely create something new, because if it looks too similar to ads they've already seen in the past, they're going to think that they've seen that ad before and they haven't. So yeah, definitely think about that, and make sure you go through the retargeting module also.
Cool.
Okay, awesome. And this was one I saw from Casey, and you text me about it, John, and this one slipped through the cracks. There's a lot to consume here. He said, Casey, don't panic. I'm panicking. Let's put this on the overflow list. Sorry to
Okay.
put this one off, Casey. I just want to make sure that I can consume all of this. And this would also be a good one. Oh, I think that Joe sent this one to Boris today. So
Oh,
I will
perfect.
still answer this, Casey, but we also sent this to Boris, who is Boom's ads manager, and he's really good with DPA stuff. So we'll get an answer from him too, because I mean, I can definitely answer this, but he's way more skilled when it comes to this also.
Perfect. Okay.
And
Um,
John, remind me, Jason Smith would be a great person for me to tag in there too. Jason's great with DPAs.
got it.
Okay, Diana said, love the retargeting module, educational and entertaining. I laughed many times. I'm glad. Questions about warm traffic conversion rates, such as click-through rate to a landing page or purchasing a product under $50. I previously asked about using the post IDs, and Joe cleared up for me. Um, I previewed the ad, Facebook desktop with comments. I pulled the post ID from the URL, pasted it into the field, and this is what pops up. Um, Pick attach. Any reason for this? Not the first time this has happened. Can you make this larger, John?
Mm-hmm.
I-
Oh, sorry, just the image. I'm answering questions in the box, so I was not looking at the
No
screen.
worries. No worries. Um, I'm not sure what's happening here. So, okay, what's important to understand, Diana, is that the post ID thing that I teach and the aggregation of social proof doesn't exist with dynamic product ads, because that's not how they function. It looks like you're trying to do something with dynamic product ads here because it says product.brand. So just keep that in mind. I think that's what's creating some confusion. But I'm glad that you enjoyed the module. And then in terms of conversion rates and click-through rates with warm traffic, that's a really good question. And just some quick guidelines here. you are generally going to see that your click-through rates on retargeting ads are less than the guidelines that I gave you in the optimization module for cold traffic. And there are a few reasons for this. One is that, with retargeting ads, you tend to get a bit more salesy. So the ads don't have as much social proof. They're just not that engaging. They're built to get someone to click, but it's not like you're showing up and telling a story about what's going on in their life right now. So that's one reason. Another is that retargeting, a lot of consumers think retargeting is creepy, that they visit a website and that they see ads. So some of them aren't likely to click, they might hide your ad. So you just generally see that click-through rates for retargeting ads are a bit lower, and that's okay. When it comes to conversion rates, usually the offer is going to be a little bit different. As you get into retargeting, you might be going more direct to a sales page, direct to a product page. So, that's going to change things in terms of the conversion rates, because what you're sending traffic to is probably going to change. But if what you're sending traffic to in the retargeting is the same offer as cold traffic, I would expect a bit of a higher conversion rate. Like, John, for example, with our webinars, let's use that as an example. So we're having a free webinar. We're sending people to a page to opt in and register for it. For cold traffic, I usually expect from Smart Marketer like 30 to 50% on that to cold traffic, people who have never heard of us before. But for warm traffic, I expect more like 50 to 70, because you guys know us. And so hopefully you are more interested in consuming content for us, especially if it's something content from us, especially if it is something free. So, I don't have like specific numbers that I'm looking, because with retargeting, I'm really just looking at that return on ad spend and that cost per acquisition. Because like I said last week, retargeting campaigns aren't really something that you scale. I mean, yeah, you launch new ads to fight fatigue, you increase the budget as your retargeting audience sizes grow, but they are there to continue people down the customer journey, to help overcome any barriers to entry, to introduce new offers or other products into that consumer's ecosystem that they might be interested in. Yeah, sorry, John, another rabbit hole. I'm pumped up today. So hopefully that's helpful, Diana. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, John. I mean, it's kind of the difference between like email and Facebook ads. We would always
Mhm.
expect traffic from email because it's warmer to convert better, whether it's an opt-in page, a sales page, whatever it is. And that is the case here too. So
Yes,
just
and
because they're more at the bottom of the funnel doesn't mean, it's always going to be like an astronomically higher conversion rate, but sometimes it can be.
yeah, and I think that's exactly right. And I also think something like purchasing a product under $50 percent, it just there's so many different variables. You're going to be, I like to say that, what am I trying to say? I think of my like historical data that I have in my business as kind of my best tool to benchmark against. So if I'm trying to say, what do I think is a good rule of thumb for what clicks from a landing page should be, I go in and look at what my business looked like 6 months ago or a year ago for that information first before trying to pick a generic number, because the generic stuff is never custom enough. And so, maybe it can, if you're getting a 1%, opt-in rate on your form, that's probably something wrong, right? But by and large, you can't really compare your own business to everybody else's, because we all have different price points, different audiences, different offers, everything changes. And so you don't want to get too lost in, hey, I'm not hitting this, percentage that some other person came up with. You instead want to say, what have I done in the past? And do I think I can do a little bit better than that? Or am I doing way worse? And it seems like this offer isn't landing. That's how I try to approach it. And that works for any metric, right? You can use that for conversion rate or, you know, purchase rate, right? If Boom launched a campaign where the cost cost per acquisition was $130, well, they would say, oh man, this one's not working. But somebody selling, for us at Smart Marketer selling Train My Traffic person, if we were buying or if we were having people purchase that for an average cost per acquisition of $130, we would be quite happy. So, um, but yeah, so I think hopefully that helps. All
All right,
right.
Nathan with the beards. Okay, we used, oh, sorry. Okay, so interesting update on our challenge campaign. We used this music video as the first step in introducing the challenge. This video is getting huge reach, but the traffic isn't at all qualified, mostly beardless folks, so the retargeting on it and conversions are crap. The lead singer of Bush even shared it yesterday. Molly Ezra still can't tag Joe or John for some reason. Not sure why that's happening. I feel like I have a very specific window of opportunity on this. Is there something I'm missing to get this to convert, or should I just accept it as awareness and move on? So scroll down a little bit, John. Okay, and the challenge was picked up on Inside Edition today. That is so cool. Will you click open this?
Or do you want to see the video itself?
Um, yes, and I think Joe and John might be getting tagged so much in the group that they're turning off the ability to tag to prevent spam. So, um, okay, there must be a Horden because I'm looking thin. Okay, so I'm sure this is incredibly great with the sound on, but that would be very hard to do with the tech setup right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
I
don't think
think
that'll
the
come through.
first biggest thing, like I think this is cool, it's relevant, but in no way other than just by looking at these people, like, do I think this is just specifically for people with beards? You know what I mean? So, I mean, I know you've got livebearded.com, but it's like this might be better than a 24 pack of TP. So, I think it probably speaks to part of the avatars you've been going after, but I think the issue is there's not really an avatar that I feel is called out here. Like, is it bearded people? Is it just everyone experiencing this? So, not crapping on the video at all. I just think that's probably, it's not about chalking this up like a loss, as you said, or however you frame that. It's just that, like, that is, this is a kind of a broad video, and if it was something around like, um, just specifically beards in regards to the virus, then I think it might be a different story. But from what I'm watching, and this is way more than most people scrolling through the newsfeed are going to watch, I'm not quite sure that a certain avatar is being called out here. And that's why, the first thing I thought when you said that you were getting unqualified traffic was just wondering who are you targeting? And I don't know if they're the interests that you submitted for the other campaign, but I'm sure the interests are tough on this because you don't quite know exactly who to target. So I don't know exactly what to say. Like, number one, it's awesome that it's gotten this amount of engagement. Like, it's fantastic. Um, I mean, it's hard to say if these people will convert. You're saying that's not happening, and I mean, part of that, like I said, is because I'm not quite sure this is speaking just directly at your avatar. It's kind of just an entertainment video. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts, John? Like, I think this is a good asset, but I'm not sure if this is going to be like a, just home run paid traffic asset for you, at least with this video. Because, I mean, why do your other ads work? They work because they show your avatar. They speak specifically about having a beard, which, like, ways that you could do that right now is like educating people with beards about how dirty they are. I know that's a lot of the conversation right now is like, how do you stay healthy with a beard? If that's on brand, that would be a way to enter this conversation, but just speak to people with beards. And I like, a lot of the creatives where you have, the side, I think the before and afters of guys with shorter beards and then after they've grown them. Like, I think your creative direction is much more in the direction of what Boom's doing right now with user generated content and guys actually applying the beard products and talking about why they like them, than really having to go with something like this that's just so broad. So, yeah, thanks, Nathan, and that's what I think.
Awesome. Um, and I was just going to say that Yeah, it's going to get really, really wide distributions. You're going to have a lot of people that are not your target audience come in, but maybe it's a good time to do something like, you know, what am I trying to say? Like the how-to guide for growing a quarantine beard, right? Maybe you should
Yeah,
make a simple offer to take advantage of this big burst of traffic that warms people up and may set them up to be someone who is part of your target audience in the future. And you don't need to spend a ton of money on that necessarily. You can spend just a little bit because you're already going to be having people that see this everywhere if it's getting shared all over. But try to, instead of, having them, what am I trying to say? Instead of expecting them to come to you, go to them where they are, because it is
yeah,
great that
that's
you're
a good
getting
one.
lots of viral distribution and you can capitalize on it by,
Yeah,
again, going broader, and you don't have to pay as much. I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes going broad is hard, right, Molly? Because you're
mhm.
stepping away from people that are really perfect fits for your product and adapting what you have to appeal to them. But in this
But
case,
a
you've already got that distribution. So all you need to do is
yeah.
create something that's relevant and interesting to people who are seeing this that will warm them up to make them good candidates.
Yeah, and it looks like this hook is already happening in Inside Edition with
Oh,
men
yeah.
growing quarantine beards. It's like that makes it relatable to any man now that could possibly grow a beard. So, yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it, John. And excited for you guys, Nathan.
All right. All
Okay,
right.
so
Another
Arsh says
Josh.
I'm reassessing our daily retargeting budget. We have one ad set for PDP viewers and one ad set for add to cart. So, as I talked about in the retargeting module, I definitely wouldn't have different audiences and multiple ad sets. I would try to break them out into their own campaigns, or it's very confusing for Facebook. The potential reach in both is unavailable for both ad sets. So remove any exclusions that you have so that we can see those real potential audience sizes, or go into audiences and hover over those retargeting audiences and let me know how large they are. Since reach is the only number I could see, I use that as the audience size. I think data budget, so yeah, go back and remove any exclusions. So that's what's causing it to not show you a potential audience size unless you said, or and reach is under 1,000. So yeah, go in there and see if by removing those exclusions you can get a real number. If not, then it might be that your audience size is less than 1,000. And if that case, I would set both campaigns at a $5 budget. Um, so well, we can move to the next one, John.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. All right. It's got one from Ben.
All right, what's up, Ben? So, this is also a video I'll shoot for tomorrow, John, because I know Ben had some follow up on
Oh,
the
cool.
stuff that we went over last week for him. So I can just do that all in one video for you, Ben. And I haven't forgotten about the follow up stuff that you posted on the video that I shot you last week.
Cool. All right.
Okay, so Ricardo. I put here the copy that I've created for my avatar to see which one you think is best. I do not show the images because I want to know if it's the right direction, which makes sense. The copy is focused on leading to a landing page. You don't know whether to teach a case study or a webinar. Apart from this, I wanted to ask you, shouldn't we always use in our ad copy some type of formula? Shouldn't we always try to include in our copy principles of persuasion? I try not to ask the audience directly because there are times that I have not been approved for this reason. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, of course, anytime you guys hear me talk about hooks, until I can't breathe. So anytime you can use the before and after grid that I taught you guys, anything like that, it's only going to help you develop more hooks. So absolutely. And let's take a look at his copy. And this is why I tell you guys not to ask a lot of open-ended questions. I know I've corrected that a few times on the call, and Ricardo just said, he's been disapproved for that. So that's definitely why I'm sensitive to that. So copy for Maria, owner of Aesthetics Center. I put the before and after grid here first because I had doubts. Okay, so before um, Unexploited Center of Aesthetics,
I
an
think it's like a
aesthetic
beauty
center.
salon. This is like Google
Okay.
Translated, I'm suspecting. So
Oh, okay. So she has to work because she doesn't have enough clients, and you want that to transition to has many employees. Okay, so she owns, yeah, she owns some sort of local business around beauty, and she's wanting to scale and grow. This, you definitely did this correctly, and that makes sense. So scroll down, John. Okay, feel. Most beauty salon owners are confused about how to attract more clients. So I love that. You're immediately putting their name right there, like you're calling them out so they know it's for them. And and no matter their stage of growth, of course they're going to want more clients usually. So very good opening here. You're Ricardo, and during the last year, you've worked with some of the most prestigious beauty centers in Spain. I love that. You're setting some authority. I've created an online class to teach you the most effective and fastest strategies with which to constantly attract clients. Register now. Yeah, I love this, Ricardo. Like you hit the nail on the head. This is fantastic. This is exactly how it's done. And I feel like for what you're doing, if you feel comfortable delivering content on a webinar and making a pitch on a webinar, which you'll do, I would go in that form because I think it will be more effective. But if you want to go more of the case study PDF route, you can do that too. I just think you'll get more people to consume your content going the webinar route. So let's go down to story. Love this one. When I visited Naomi and her center and proposed a strategy to get more clients, she did not imagine that she would end up saying this to me. Please stop the campaign. I don't have places for more clients. That is always a good day as a media buyer, but a sad day because you got to turn them off. But can't you schedule appointments? No, it's too full. Yeah, I love this. It's just a story. So you guys notice he's kind of saying the same thing he was in the first ad copy variation, but we've just repositioned this. We've used just a little bit of a different hook here to catch someone's attention. It's fantastic. Let's see the status one. If you're a good, I'm going to quit trying to pronounce that. And you're passionate about your
esthetician.
profession. So again, I love that in the first sentence, without saying, "Hey, are you this person?" You're really calling them out. The only thing you need to become a benchmark in your sector is achieve clients. After having worked in the last year with some of the most prestigious clients in Spain, so another way you could do this with status is just going directly into that case study and speak about the specific results that you generated for that person. Just don't say the amount of time you generated them in because Facebook doesn't like that from a policy standpoint. But otherwise, this one's great too. And then the next one is learn as if you were watching a Netflix on how to get more clients for your beauty center. So I think this one's like the least strong one, but I do like that there's an analogy, and I do like that this is kind of relevant to right now because I'm sure a lot of these people are shut down right now. So even something like instead of watching Netflix, consume this information and it'll help grow your business. It'll help you do something. That could be a better way to position this. And then comparison, which option do you choose? I'll make it easier for you. My chapter to teach you how to get more clients. Here below would be an image divided. You would put an option of continue watching chapters on Netflix. Okay, so you were already thinking the same thing. I think that one will work very well, especially if you just want to make sure you're still calling them out in the way you have with the other variations in that one. You want to make sure that they know it's for them. And then all beauty centers will have to invest in advertising. The question is where to invest, and this is a logic hook. Yeah, this is really, really good work. I'm excited, and I know that this is a tough person from a targeting standpoint, but the number of hooks you have and the way that you're really calling these people out without directly calling them out, this is fantastic work. So keep us updated. Is that the end, John? For some reason, I felt like that was the end.
Yep. Look at you,
Oh,
intuition.
yeah. Cool. That was awesome. Thank you for submitting that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to throw out
Take
there,
a
Molly,
quick
that
sip of tea here, John.
what's up?
Oh, I just said I was going to take a few sips of tea
Oh,
here.
well, I should have just kept talking then. I just was gonna tell Ricardo, he's in the comments, and he was saying, yeah, he Google translated those so you could kind of weigh in, which makes sense, and I think that's totally fine and a perfect way to do
Yeah,
it.
I
I
assume
would
that.
just recommend having somebody do copy editing, because we can't really give you feedback on the exact wording, right? So always good just
Oh,
to, when you're
I-
writing ad copy, get someone to give you their 2 cents, because when you translate this back, it may be perfect, or there may be like one or two words that are a little funky. So just a
yeah.
good thing to have. I know Molly likes it when she gets copywriters to kind of go through and get for the copy she writes a once over and clean it up. So
hmm Yeah. And I assume those were translated, so
yeah.
I understand that. Okay, so Sadie, for my ad creative, hello dear, I'm thinking about video, splice together actual video that authors submitted long ago into a testimonial video. Love that idea. Image, a play on the meme of what the world thinks you do, sketch of a photo that's romanticized about an offer, what I really do. I love that idea as long as it's not too much text. And if it is too much text as an image, you could make it a quick little GIF where, because with videos and GIFs, it's just the thumbnail that has to be less than 20% text. So that could be another way to still get use that play on that meme, because I think especially to your audience, they would like something like that. The Molly approved ad copy is in the group files. Ignore my notes about multiple creatives. I have been confused. Thoughts before I proceed these further or flesh them out. So this is ad copy that I think we've already checked out, John. Unless there are more variations in here, we can check out the document. But I really like. Okay, there's more in here. Okay, so you've got. Okay, the photo on the play of what my parents, friends think I do, what I actually do. I love that. I just gave you feedback on that. An image or graphic, something vast with an arrow pointing to your book is here. Yeah, I think anything that's showing like native images, real images, like iPhone images, if possible, of your authors at, book signing days, or even just holding your book up with the arrow with an arrow on it that's in, just some quick little text font that's like, best-selling author or something. Anything like that will also make this feel a lot more obtainable for them. So image or graphic with something vast. I don't know what that means really. With an arrow pointing to your book is here. User scrolling through page upon page of Kindle store, some sort of overwhelming scene of walking around a library. Yeah, I do like that. Like someone scrambling, going through books, and there could be some sort of hook around, creating demand for your book, like, this person had. But I'm not sure if you even need to do that. Like using what you said, the meme is hilarious. And I think any real footage of your authors is going to work super well. So let's scroll down a little bit more, John. Like this second one with the person just madly consuming, that would be my least favorite and probably the most work for you, which is good news. Um, and then okay, and then down under the status one, we have a video of
Nope.
one author already, so that's great. And then maybe a photo. And then is there anything on the next page?
Nope. That's it.
Okay, so yeah, hopefully I gave you enough ideas there, but I think for you, the creatives, like don't overthink it. Make sure that you are keeping it native. Use any little testimonials, but also photos of your students, or even them holding their books up with a little bit of writing overlay that says, something that's going to catch someone's attention. Very similar to that creative I showed you guys during the creative module that was those chocolates, just a picker, jeez, a, oh, it's been a long day, a picture of some chocolates that looked really yummy. And then there was this arrow and it said no sugar. And that spoke to me because there were chocolates. I immediately knew that these were sugar free and that was going to fit the diet that I was currently adhering to. So anything like that could work for you. So thanks for submitting, Sadie. And you are definitely coming along quickly. So really excited for you.
Cool.
And then John, we'll take a few more here and then just save the rest. My voice is starting to leave me a little bit. We've gotten through a good amount today, so just wanted to give you a heads up there.
Awesome. That sounds great.
And then let's since we've already answered one from Susie today, let's move this one to the overflow. Okay, cool. So Paul, awesome. Hey, Paul, can you add more ads to an existing ad set? Will it affect performance? Okay, good question. So if you are using CBO, if your campaign is using CBO, and you add new ads into your ad sets, it's not going to affect the campaign in terms of restarting optimization or possibly negatively affect the campaign. It's not as much of a risk when you're using CBO because the optimization is happening at a higher level, at the campaign level instead of the ad set level. So that is actually a best practice for us with CBO campaigns. We're usually, especially as we're starting to see the campaign fatigue, we do add one or maybe a few new ads into each ad set every week just to keep things fresh. And that's something I'll talk about in the scale module. Now, when you have budgets at the ad set level and you're using ABO, this is when, especially if your campaign and your ad set, your particular ad set is working really well, I highly suggest not adding new ads to that ad set. Any scaling or optimization you need to do should be done in new ad sets or in new campaigns because it has much more of an effect on your campaigns when you make this move with budgets at the ad set level versus CBO. So yeah, hopefully this is helpful and really good question, Paul.
That's one that I have so much trouble internalizing for some reason. And I know it's one that get asked a
Yeah,
lot,
it's
but it's
confusing.
yeah, it's a little tricky. So good one to recap all the time.
Yeah, it's like, think about it like this. So with CBO, okay, let's back up. With ABO, budgets are at the ad set level. So imagine that there's like a lot more, let's call it activity happening on your ads. Like the optimization at the ad level, I wouldn't call it more important, but let's say it's more active than with CBO. It's the same thing with CBO. You're moving up a level in terms of optimization. So it's the same reason that I don't tell you guys to add new ad sets into a campaign that's using CBO, because that's basically the same thing as adding new ads into an ad set when the budget is at the ad set level. That might have made it more confusing, but you've got to just think about with CBO, the optimization is moving up a level. Like if you think of a campaign kind of like those Russian dolls where, there's the full campaign, and within the campaign there lives ad sets, and within the ad sets there lives ads. Well, when the optimization is happening at the campaign level, that puts a lot more of that activity at the ad set level. That's where more of the optimization is happening than at the ad level. So when you make changes at the ad level, it has way less of an effect versus ABO, where the pressure is a bit further down on the ad set and then the ad level. So I don't know if that made sense for you guys, but I'll try to think of a better way to describe that too.
No, I think that
I'll
was
simmer on
helpful.
that.
We have a few follow-up questions related to this actually, though, coming
Okay,
in.
let's answer.
So Anna said you're adding ads when you see fatigue in a CBO example. What do you do when you reach 50 ads, the maximum amount you can have?
I think it's only ever happened one or two times. I mean, if you have a campaign that's lasted for, we usually add one, maybe two ads in a week. So it would take us, 20 to 40 weeks essentially to hit that number. Because with CBO, we usually launch with only three or so ads, as I've taught you guys. So that would take a long time. I think it's something that's happened once or twice, maybe only inside of Boom. It's really not something I'm very concerned with because by that point, I mean, unfortunately, it's hard to get a campaign to last longer than that, anyways. But if you do, then a solution to that, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that because I don't think we faced it a lot. I think with Boom, usually about that time, things start to fatigue anyways, or we just quit adding new ads in because there's definitely on a rare occasion that we would ever go in and turn off or delete an ad, especially with CBO. So sorry, I don't have a great answer. It's just not something that we've experienced a ton because it's rare for a campaign to last, almost a full year, especially just at the volume that we're trying to scale right now.
And Boom is a pretty big business, so I don't think anyone in here has a business at such a size that they should be running into that issue. But you just said something that I want to clarify because a bunch of people asked this question too. Did you say it is okay to switch off ads in CBO or not okay to do that?
No, I rarely ever switch off any ads, period.
Okay.
So, and this is back to the breakdown effect. If you guys missed that, go back to module 3. Definitely go to the bit.ly link I shared, study the breakdown effect. It explains why it's usually a very bad idea to go in and start turning ads off. Because even if you go and you're like, oh, this ad is the worst, what you don't realize is that halo effect, and that all of those ads are working together to produce that conversion or whatever you're asking for. So if you go in and you have 4 ads live and you turn the 3 off that are doing the worst, I'm doing my air quotes, you're actually just crushing your campaign. In your mind, you might be saving money, or it's like, ooh, this is optimization. And it's like, no, it's definitely not. You're just kind of crushing your campaign because now Facebook has 3 less ads to work with. So that's really my thought process. There is a very, very rare occasion that we turn off ads. Like maybe if for some reason the messaging is just completely not working and I just don't feel good about having that ad live as a reflection of a brand that I'm working with, that might be a reason that we turn them off, but very rarely otherwise are we turning ads off. And yeah, especially nowadays with the advancements in machine learning and how smart these platforms are, I feel really passionately about that. And something else that you'll see is that, and I get this all the time, Molly, I turned ads off and then I went back a few weeks later and I actually found that the ads that I turned off had the highest return on ad spend because I needed to wait a little bit. There was a bit of a delayed attribution, and you'll find that too. So yeah, just some thoughts on that, John.
Cool. Okay. Well, I know we went kind of deep there. Do you want to maybe do this last question and then we'll save everything else for you
Yeah,
to do on overflow tomorrow?
and then did we get anything else here in the questions box that you feel like I need to address right now?
I think you hit
Or
all
that was
the, oh wait,
those? Okay, great.
yeah, is it
And
okay?
then
Yeah, okay, yeah, we've addressed pretty much all of this. Well, okay, so yeah, no, I think Leia was just saying that if you have an ad with good ROI and an ad with bad ROI, you wouldn't turn the ad with bad ROI off.
no,
Um,
because you got to study the breakdown effect. You should not be making decisions like that at the ad level. If you're using
yep,
CBO, you need to make decisions at the campaign level. If you're using budget at the ad set level, you need to make decisions at the ad set level because that is where you are setting the optimization. If you're making those decisions at the ad level, it doesn't make sense in terms of how the platform works. So please, please study the breakdown effect, guys. And don't make decisions at the ad level. They are all there to work together.
yep, I think that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I recommend everyone that is wanting to go deeper on this, go back and rewatch. I'm pretty sure it's session 3 because
Yeah, it
Molly
is.
gets really into CBO, campaign budget optimization, versus ABO, ad set budget optimization. And it is,
And there's a lot on
obviously
that
we're
in
all
this
adapting to
piece.
CBO world, but it's really important to understand the difference there.
Yeah, and we included another bonus video about CBO below that in module 3, but I talk about the breakdown effect a little bit and share an article that you guys should read over and over about the breakdown effect, because if you don't understand how the platform works, then it's hard to read the right data and make the best decisions. And that is a huge part of it, especially with Facebook. So okay, awesome. Zach, how's it going, buddy? He said, hi, targeting question. I have a Facebook interest of weight loss, which is 45 million people. That seems way too big for our offer, which is a premium keto subscription. Do you recommend that we narrow this audience down with other relevant targeting for our audience? Related, if I narrow the audience that way and it creates an audience of 70 million, do you recommend I create a bunch of these to get to the 3 million? So Zach, I mean, I know I showed in the targeting module a ton of different interests that I use for keto. use those. I wouldn't use weight loss. It's too large, especially if you're just getting started out. And if you go from 45 million and narrow it all the way down to 70K, like that's just not enough people. So I would just honestly use I showed all the targeting I use for keto, paleo, different weight loss interests that are a lot more specific. I don't think that even with scale in that ad account, I ever use weight loss. Maybe once or twice for scale campaigns, but definitely not for testing. So I would try to get more specific and hit that 3 to 4 million target. And I wouldn't do that, especially if you're just starting out, by trying to narrow down the weight loss interest. You always want to try to find the most specific interest first, not take something that's too broad and try to whittle it down. So um, that is my thought on that.
Awesome. Well, really, really good call today, Molly. I think we got into some good stuff here, and it's so funny. Not that any of you guys need to like feel bad or comment more or whatever, but the question box is usually relatively quiet. But when you when you started talking about that ad sets on off CBO stuff, boy, it just blew up. But a lot of people asked similar questions that I think you really got everybody's question answered. So
Awesome,
awesome. Well,
y'all.
with that said, I will take all of these that are left and put them into a new thread for you in Slack, Molly. So anyone that didn't
Cool.
get their question answered today will be in her queue for tomorrow.
Yep.
So should get your answers within the next 24 hours or so.
Yeah, and John, I'll go back and look at anything new that's come into the group too since Joe pulled these questions. So, yeah, guys, thanks again for showing up. Love seeing your all's progress. This is really fun. Appreciate your participation and let us know how we can serve you. I hope you have a great week and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.
Cool. All right. See y'all
Thanks,
later.
John. Bye.